Under new business, the first item on the agenda is for 16 North Fort Thomas Avenue for the Zimmer Group.
Just to give a brief, I just wanted to clarify too, from the last meeting, we kind of got a little bit out of order as far as our procedures, and we just want to clean up our procedures. I think the way it's going to go is I'll give a brief description of the case. The applicant will be able to come and present and let us know what they're proposing, and then beyond that, our board will have the interaction with the applicant, and then when they're complete with that, we'll open it up to discussion from the public. So just wanted to clarify that. We had some folks jumping in the last meeting, and it's kind of new. We never had that before, so we kind of just let it go, but we're going to control the meeting and put it in a format to where we need to have that control, partially for recognition of minutes. And recognition of each individual person that's speaking. The last time there was people blurting out and speaking, and we couldn't record who it was and couldn't get the proper minutes. So this will clean up that. So this being said, your first applicant is at 16 North Fort Thomas. You see the application showing some signage that is at the old Fort Ellington building. We have existing signage in place. There's two signs there on the building. The applicant is proposing to use those same existing signs and also add signage to the door. So, Peter, I don't know if you want to come up and give maybe just a brief description of what you're doing, and we have, I can give you a packet here if you want to describe it.
No, I mean, you kind of summed it up really well. My name's Peter. Yeah, using the existing cabinets, we're not going
I didn't know if you
to.
wanted to kind of show them as you were going.
We're not going to replace the Fort Ellington with a new business name here.
Is that going to be blank at this time, or are you going to just leave the Fort Ellington at this point, or what's exactly?
Leave the Fort Ellington with the intent of whoever the client ultimately ends up being, allowing them to avail themselves of that sign with whatever design that would match their business. But yeah, just replacing the face.
So I guess you want to describe that a little bit more. I think you said something about the way it's backlit. How is that going to be? It's not going to be a whole lit up sign.
Yeah.
I think the backlighting
That's
is.
a good call. I feel like the PDF shows a little bit better what the night view would look like. I'm happy to pass that around to see what lit means. Basically just the backlit blue and the white Z.
I think you do have, you all in your packets do have some renderings. I'm not sure if that's how this one is.
Different than this.
It's the same thing that got printed, it just didn't print, I think.
It's got more detail on here.
Yeah.
So it doesn't seem it's going to be like the old sign was like the entire backlit was projecting through, and I don't think that this.
Right.
This is,
Right.
we've always suggested to others aluminum face.
Yeah, it will, now that I've seen some of the signage at One Highland, it'll actually more closely resemble some of that backlit lettering.
Those were routed signs on an aluminum face painted to match the building.
This is slightly different. This is the aluminum face with like a push-through acrylic Z. So it's not
But it's still cut.
Yeah, yeah.
I think, yeah, on the top one, I see what you're doing, but I think well, we can discuss the top one first.
Yeah.
After you're finished.
No. I have nothing else to say unless you have questions.
Are you replacing the doors?
Yeah, I'm glad you asked that. Our intention actually is to replace the storefront glass as well as the doors. This is the, I don't have any renderings, but to the degree you want to see the detail of the quote. With it, it's not black, what is it, bronze? It's the same as across the street, same tube metal to just kind of sharpen up that whole exterior.
Are you leaving the leaded glass?
Yes,
small
I
stuff at the bottom?
painstakingly scraped each one of them.
Okay.
Leaving those forever. I think
Labor of love.
they look kind of neat. But yeah, one of, I don't know if you can tell in the picture, but of the two storefront pieces, the one on the right is, the seal's broken, it's kind of getting foggy, so they're both due.
Okay, and will it maintain just a single, okay, we're asking questions now.
Yeah.
Oh, absolutely. No, I think the interaction between the board is
Yeah,
perfect.
there'll be a single seam.
A single mullion in the middle,
Yeah.
similar to what's there
Yeah.
currently, so it'll go like to like a dark bronze and that, it's like the brownish looking
Yeah.
color.
Yeah.
This is not going to be retail.
I hope, I don't know yet. This door actually goes immediately downstairs.
Oh, I'm
So this
sorry, I
is-
thought you were saying that the windows were going to be dark also. In the,
Just the
frame.
Just the frame.
Just the frame,
Just
okay.
just the metal. Yeah.
So you have a business that's in the lower level?
The third level in the basement is just a garage space, and we've installed a set of steps, separated the man door from the garage space with the wall, so that becomes a separate entrance into our office.
So the second floor is Zimmer Group, and then the first floor is undetermined.
To determine, yeah.
It's gonna be awesome.
That clears it up.
Yeah, thank you.
Yeah, there is three
It's gonna be
locations.
really cool. A lot of work.
Yeah,
It's a cute little building.
it is.
Yeah.
I wish that sign bin wasn't blocking that decorative brick that's underneath there, but probably you can see the little
Oh, yeah.
basket weave
Yeah.
on the end.
And I was in Cobblestone, and they had an old, forever ago picture of the street, and behind the square sign on the top, which is not there any longer, was a decorative concrete piece.
Oh, I can see that, yeah.
Like, it was just kind of neat.
Yeah, too bad.
I wish that were still.
So 2 signs are allowed and that's
Well,
okay?
so they're existing, so we can't
So they're
really
grandfathered in.
say, yeah, they're grandfathered.
Okay.
That's part of the problem.
but they are replacing the faces. I would say on the second face for the unknown tenant this time, that because it is a box sign, that it's remained painted, the sign and the face, to match the facade of the building, so that it looks as if each letter is an individual sign, or individual illuminated letter. It's the inexpensive way to do an individual internally illuminated letter.
Like across the street. Yeah.
But that way it reads as if it's just the letters, not this big old box thing.
Mhm.
Yeah, agreed. It's hard, because I don't know who it is yet, but like, that's kind of my
Right.
hope
They'll
to
be-
have.
They'll do whatever reads best on that
Right.
face.
I would probably prefer that we see that sign come back once you know what the tenant is.
I think I have to.
I mean, it's one of those where, I mean, unless you feel comfortable based on what Lori's description is, that it's an individual letter, and if it's relatively generic, you know, it just has their name across there, and obviously if it had a lot of other elements or something like that, then perhaps we could bring it back, but my thought is, and once again, it's up to your decision, if it is individual letters and it's relatively simple, would you be okay with approving it this time? If not, we can certainly bring it back. All right.
We can do it by
Or at
email.
least via email, yeah, I think.
Well, we're not going to do, you know, I think the idea behind the email was a lot of that was COVID related, you know, and we could do things and didn't have choice to do some of those things. And, you know, I think, you know, to have quorums and full meetings, we really need to be, you know, having these, physically have these meetings at this point. I think we tried to resort to that to make it convenient for everybody, but, you know, per, you know, regulations, you know, of Open Meetings Act, we really need that.
Yeah, I think maybe I don't like approving things that we don't see. And if, you know, let's say you got a tenant that their name consisted of just 3 letters. You know, then we have this big, shiny box blinking it right and left, and only 3 little letters in the middle, at which point, like, I mean, I know it would probably cost a little more, but then probably a smaller sign that was more proportioned to the actual name of the business would make sense. Like, this works currently because of how stinking long the name of the business is, and if it were, I just think that it would feel a little bit bizarre if it's a very short business name with a really long sign face on it. It's just my design opinion. So
That's a good point.
I would personally prefer to see some copy come back before us.
I think we had already intended on that being the case.
Yeah, it's great.
I would like to, though, include in the approval that it be okay paying the $2 million bill,
Yeah,
and then the copy and everything else coming later.
yeah, I'm good with that.
As far as the other element, the window signage, in your packet, you should have the actual door and the information that's on the door. The regulation for window signage essentially is it should not cover more than 30% of the area of the window itself. Vinyl is allowed, should be applied a second surface to the glass. It's painted or grit lettering should also be reverse applied. Color selection should be considered for the contrast with the background lights. That's what we have in place for that portion.
So this says first surface, which would mean it's applied on the outside.
Is that what this?
That's what this says, yeah.
You're just saying it needs to be applied to the inside?
Yeah. It's gonna
That
last.
seems like
a
wisdom
lot longer
anyway.
too.
What's that?
It seems like wisdom anyway.
Yeah.
Trying to scrape off your letters.
They come both ways, so you just want to make sure that it's the internal ones. The vinyl signs.
Could do that once. And that it's no more than, was it a third?
Yeah, I think it says 30%, so about 30.
Any other questions, comments from the board?
Get kind of right there in the door.
Scan.
Yeah.
Okay. Okay.
Mm.
Would anybody from the public like to comment on?
Yes, thank you for letting us say so.
Can you give it, I'm sorry, can you give us
I'm
your name?
Sharon MacKnight, I live on 62 Miller Lane, and I'm new to the CBD being a historic district, so I'm learning all this, so thank you for letting us ask questions on this. But when you're comparing and going by your guidelines that I have here, are you going by the regulations governing what's already existing there, not the new building, right? I mean, you want to keep the historic feel of what's already there, that's been there for a long time. Is that what you're trying to do? Not compare it, try to emulate the thing across the street, the building across the street, right?
Well, yeah, well, yes and no.
Okay.
So there are elements that now these regulations. There were a lot of signs that were in place before these regulations took effect,
Okay,
and so these signs were in place before these regulations. So they're essentially grandfathered in. Some of the elements that the board was talking about, as far as having the letters individually lit, is it kind of puts you more into meeting these guidelines versus having a big rectangular lit sign. It's not as aesthetically pleasing, you know, those old signs where the whole thing is lit. So the idea is that we kind of tone it down a little bit by, you know, painting the backside or covering the backside, similarly to what the applicant has applied for, to where you don't have a big glowing sign in the center of downtown. So now, you know, that's part of zoning. If you take down a sign, you can't necessarily put a sign back up. So most of the businesses choose to keep the existing sign and then modify that to make it work, so they don't have to pay for a whole new sign.
and it stays with the character of the town too. does the backside, like, there's being work done on the backside of the building too, which a lot of people, like down on my street, you can see it. Do you have the same regulations governing the backside as well? I mean, you can't go there and paint it pink or something, you know what I'm saying? Don't you want to keep it with the same character with the front of the building?
So these regulations, they're specific, there's some language in there that talks about visibility from the avenue. So technically, a person could technically do that, you know, the backside of those buildings, yes.
Without having to come in front of you guys
Correct.
and say, hey,
I mean, it's no different than anywhere else in the city. They could, our other commercial districts, any residential district, we can't regulate that. This isn't part of our purview. So
Okay.
technically, yes.
Because I didn't see that anywhere about the backside of it under your procedures and regulations.
Right. It's just the visibility from the main drag.
And so even if that's, you're cleaning up that whole parking lot and that's going to be an entrance, you know.
I mean, that's something that we can argue, I guess.
I mean, I'm not arguing, I'm just asking.
No, I don't mean it in a bad way, but I think we can argue to maybe modify or tweak our guidelines to add regulation there, or consider
Yeah.
regulation there. And I think that's kind of where we're headed, honestly, with our zoning ordinance update and things. I think we want to get to a point where that wasn't an issue before,
Yeah.
but now it is, so, you know, perhaps we can add that to our regulations. It's a good
Yeah.
idea, I think, for that particular spot. And,
Yeah, I do too.
you know, we are talking, I think, as we discussed in the zoning ordinance, about giving this board purview of, you know, some of the other commercial districts as well. So, you know, those are all under consideration. I think that's a good idea.
Okay, thank you very much. I have one question, it's an easy one, and it's to Lori. Every time you ask a question or make a comment, I find it so valuable. So I was sad, I missed, you weren't, it's not easy to hear all the time, and you were sort of speaking lightly. It was the last thing you said when they were talking about, Jeffrey had brought up some good points about the sign and the length of the sign, if the company was called 123 and you've got this big sign. And then you made a comment, what if, or do you remember what that last sentence
It
Uh,
was basically to approve the existing sign conditioned on it continue to be painted to match the facade of the building, that the face of the sign painted to match the front of the building also, and that it would be an aluminum panel like the sign up top with the letters around it.
Okay, so it
The
wasn't,
design of the actual tenant, that would come back from the board.
okay. Ever since you talked about the bricks last month on the bank/restaurant building, I'm mesmerized by those bricks. I never looked at a brick before until you talked about those bricks. They're stunning. I mean, they're so unique. So I didn't want to miss what you said here, and I appreciate your emphasizing it.
Can we get your name, please?
Oh, I'm Joan Ferris.
I would also add, just out of respect for this process, I had considered putting some planters maybe on opposite sides of the doors, or potentially as a bench in front of the storefront, just as a little bit of a space buffer, because you're walking out blind into a 30-mile-an-hour scooter. So,
We had talked about that in front of 18 North at one point, about they had a similar problem with walking out, and I know when they were talking about the canopies that were coming out, I think there was discussion about the planters, and I think this board may have actually approved the idea of the planters, but I don't know if there was a concept, or it obviously wasn't followed up on, but
I think it was with Dan Gorman.
yeah.
Yeah, I remember.
Yeah, I don't remember if it was formally submitted or if it was more just discussion. But that being said, it's kind of the same concept of protecting the clientele from walking out into into a
Moving
scooter.
traffic.
Which happens a lot.
and protecting the rascals on the scooters.
You just get them to wear those helmets.
Ban scooters.
Any other comments from the public?
So you don't have a business going in there yet? Thanks.
What would you like to see there?
Well, you can't put cobblestone there. I know. You're right.
Retail.
I saw that sign up there asking, have you had much feedback?
Yeah, a lot of people, we can't do a restaurant. A lot of people want some sort of restaurant or something, but I think some sort of retail. I love to tell people a vape shop just to see the look on their face.
Okay, so that would feel.
Wireless.
Tattoo.
I'd love like a boutique of some sort of retail would be awesome.
Just curious, thank you.
It's a great space. I'm sure you'll find someone wonderful to go in there.
Thank you guys.
Would somebody like to make a motion?
I'll try.
Okay.
Now, we're going to approve the new sign, the illuminated sign above as it is drawn. The long sign above the doors, the color will be the same as the brick, the background color.
Face.
The door sign is,
Well, wait, wait.
what?
The sign will be painted to match the facade. The base of the sign will be aluminum painted to match the building color.
So the base and the-
So it all fades away.
Did you get that?
See the letters.
If you're comfortable with it, yeah.
Oh, I'm very comfortable.
Yeah, it's good.
And the door signage is also approved.
It wasn't in the application, but it was mentioned, the bronze color of the framing of the doors, if you want to make that a part of the motion as well.
The frames will be bronze.
Also on the windows.
The doors and the windows, I'm sorry.
Is the window, will that be tinted also, or is that going to be clear glass?
Clear glass.
Okay. Frames will be bronze color with clear glass. The main pieces of glass will be replaced, the doors will be replaced. Anything else?
That rectangular sign cabinet will come back for approval once copy has been determined.
Okay.
You're comfortable with that? Part of your amended motion, or yeah?
Yeah, I'm fine. So the three of us made motion number one. Is there a second?
It looks like that's been, okay.
I'll second. Okay, we have a second. All in favor? Aye. Any opposed? Okay, the motion carries. Thank you.
Thanks, Steve.
You guys are welcome to leave if you want to. You're welcome to stick around if you want to hear the next one. Okay, the second item on the agenda is for 1029 South Fort Thomas Avenue.
So the applicant came to me, and we had been talking. He recently purchased a building, and he was originally going to come for one or two of these items, but he had some other ideas, and I thought, you know, we can throw these out there if you'd like. And I think he did, you know, come up with some information that he wasn't necessarily prepared to do, but I think he did get some good information to us. So you know, we wanted to get that in that application. So this does include installation of the windows, repair stucco, and paint on the front, changing the color, installation of the black awning over the entrance to the upper studios, and then removal of the current exterior lights and installation of exterior lights on each side of the door. And then also, you'll notice included were the outside of the upper windows, kind of a framed balcony, I guess you would say. The one avenue on the balcony I just wanted to mention, and you know, if we consider that, it may be conditional. I spoke with the state, and the state has a right-of-way through there, obviously, and a lot of times those right-of-ways are up to the edge of the building, and so depending on the size and scope of this thing, there's a chance we may need to get their approval, but that's something that, you know, we can discuss if it's approved, and assure that he's within the confines of his property and not out in the right-of-way. One of the original discussions was that it was going to be larger than that, and this is more than likely within you know, his footprint of his property. but just wanted to make a note of that, that was part of the discussion that we had at one point. So, sir, if you'd like, I don't know if you want to come up and just give a brief on what you're proposing and.
Sure. I'm Dave, that's my wife Kristy. Bought the property in July, so that's it. Looks like the Alamo.
It does.
That's the back. First thing we wanted to do is the windows need to be replaced around the top, not the bottom. They're not the originals. They were metal replacements, and they're just not working well. They're not closing. That would be the inside of the double hung. Would be white. And then my wife wanted black on the outside.
Yeah, inside the units will be the white.
And that would be the sliders that you see. There'll be 3, 2 in the front and 1 in the back. The rear right, for some reason, is 2 double hungs.
They were probably all double hungs at one time.
Yeah, I've seen in the basement those metal weights.
These were
So
not
they used to,
there.
that was before these, I guess. I guess they were.
And then we want to paint the trim around the bottom windows to be black
Yeah.
too.
And then we wanted to put an awning on the middle doorway. That one doorway in the middle is the stairway to the 4 studios up top. And
Do you know if that would come, oh, go ahead.
and it's inset there too. It's little. It's inset, so really you could fit one in there.
So it would stay within,
Yeah, we'd stay within that inset.
Oh, nice.
He's got a picture.
Yeah. So they got the pictures.
Maybe not exactly that one, but you got it right.
Yeah, we'll look something like that.
Because I don't know if it's historic the way it looks right now, but the way it looks right now, to me, it needs a little dressing up. A little pizzazz.
We want to change the outside lights to something like this.
I like this.
And then eventually we want to paint it, and the boss has said,
I just like
Top
something,
3.
yeah, from this color scheme, these 3 colors here, one of
but
those.
this is from your approved. picture.
okay.
I'm leaning more toward like the blue or a
That'd be
greenish.
next year though.
But yeah, we're starting with the windows first. And
Do you want to submit this?
I was gonna
first
say, do we
now?
need to do that when we're ready to just submit again?
That way you
Okay.
can do it now and stick with it.
We're not sure yet.
So any of these are,
But that would probably be,
these are approved, right?
all those.
Correct?
Yeah, that's in our regulations. They're approved color schemes
Okay.
that we have. Yeah, they're pretty generic. We have, nowadays to go back and find those schemes, it's obviously, we usually get kind of a color swatch from a paint store and kind of make sure it's within that idea. Yeah, so.
And right now, the front of the building is the one color, and then the 3 sides are,
Cream?
so when we do actually go to paint and get an approved color, is it that same way again? We just need to paint the front, the new color, and then the 3 sides can still be
Or
a,
does it matter?
or does it not? I mean,
That's-
how do you want
Well, if
to
you
do
get
it?
it approved and you have your paint colors.
I mean, that would save money if we didn't have to do
If it
the all
doesn't have
four
to.
sides.
Yeah. So
And
then here on
eventually
the
we
back
were
is sticker
just
too.
kicking around, putting a little terrace or something out
Would
here.
those actually be accessible though, or would they just be fake?
You know, I don't know, we were gonna look into it. That's down the road, we don't need to.
That's not
We don't need to
supposed to.
approve it.
And I would say we
That's what we should.
punt on that if you're not, I think if they're functional, maybe, but I don't know that that style that you picked, I don't know.
No,
fits.
That's just the idea.
He just
Oh, okay.
printed that one
That's-
out.
That's the idea.
I think
okay.
that
Well, I
one.
think it's and the reason we had this discussion, and they weren't originally going to come with that, but I kind of suggested to at least get some feedback from us, that if they're not ready to do that, that's fine, but at least, hey, you know, that's a perfect, exactly why I did this, is because you could provide some feedback and say, hey, maybe not this design, and maybe give them some guidance as to what might look better.
Yeah, we would, if we're gonna do it, we would rip out that window, go down a little bit. Because I think the window comes up to here,
Yeah.
24. And you'd be able to
Be like actual.
maybe go
door
out
they can
and
walk out.
have some coffee or something.
Yeah, like a little, just a little sitting,
Yeah,
And you're gonna be ripping out your brand new windows.
and that's what
I know,
we gotta
I know,
think,
I know.
yeah.
Yeah, that
It's just
sounded
like,
like,
you don't know
I
how
think this-
we're supposed to go up, this is our first time owning a building like this, so we didn't know the process of, we're just coming up with all these ideas,
We
we're like,
have
should
a-
we present them and just say we're thinking about this?
we were mobile home park owners for 12 years. So we sold it and bought a couple properties. So there you go.
But right now, windows are first, so that's what we wanna get.
Is this
approval.
little guy getting replaced, the
Yes.
middle one?
Yes.
Okay, so that'll have the same black
Yeah.
exterior.
Yeah, everything's gonna be black on top on the exterior, front and back, white on the inside. They'll change the metal encasings around. There's 4 studio apartments up on top, about 350 square feet apiece. Kind of tiny.
There's a tenant for every spot space.
what are you gonna do on the first floor? What are those? Are
Those are
businesses or
businesses. Yeah. The one on the left has, not open yet, I don't know why she's got, something hanging
Well,
there.
I think she's got some, yeah, she's actually, I just, the fire department and myself just went from a building code perspective, just to go in and make sure the space worked, check fire extinguishers and things of that nature, and, she's actually gonna be submitting likely next month for signage for the window. We kind of already talked about that, so, we need to have those discussions. She literally just dropped something off today. We need to have some more discussions and get her in the right direction, and hopefully get here next month for something.
I was asking him that, I said, is that gonna be our responsibility if our business tenants want to sign it, or that's their responsibility to provide?
Ultimately, it is your responsibility as to what, typically it's a tenant that comes in, but ultimately any regulation, you know, it's ultimately the owner's responsibility. So you probably want to know what's going on, or at least talk to her, or you know, come to the meeting, you know, if she has the application together in time for next month. But ultimately, these regulations, you know, are bound by the owner, but generally the tenants. Like in this particular case, this was a building owner, the case before us, he's probably going to come in a little bit different, but a lot of times different.
So just so I'm clear, it sounds like really what you want to get tonight are the replacement windows on the second floor front, paint the existing white trim on the first floor, windows, replace the lights with the black gooseneck
Yes.
that you have, and
the
install a
others.
simple black fabric awning. Okay.
Are you gonna have grids in the windows?
I
Like
got
your-
this from the manufacturer.
In Tri-State?
Yes, correct.
Good company.
Yeah, they did our house. We know the
So
owner.
is this the pattern you're gonna use, or you're gonna have grids?
What's that? You said they're
No,
sliders.
they're not.
This is a double hung.
No,
He said they're gonna be this.
Right.
That,
No grids.
we'll have double hungs where,
The
there's
double
2 different
hung.
types of the windows. There's the sliders, those are sliders.
from the front.
And you
Those
have
would
that
be the
with
sliders and those would be double hungs.
I would leave the grids out.
Yeah,
I think, yes.
Is this just a common hallway up there?
that's
No,
actually over the
that's
kitchen
kitchen.
sink for this unit.
Okay.
That's kitchen window.
You could put double hungs in there, put mold units in there. I like the look of a double hung more than a slider. But it's up to you.
Well, and
I
that's
agree
what
with you
you
from the
see.
historic,
Yeah,
which is our
I'm sure
mission.
that was in there, double hungs were in there from
Well, you look at the back,
that
that window
one.
on the left.
Yeah, that's how
You
they
said there
were
was some
probably.
in the
That's
basement.
what they originally were.
Probably so.
Right.
So it would be nice to see that in front, because 2 double homes with something in the middle. If you go down the street, all the other buildings that have the bigger windows like that are double homes with a spacer in the middle. So just go right down and look at them, and that's what it is. And that's probably what that was. two double homes with the spacer in between.
I think it's a much nicer look.
Yeah.
You think so?
Yeah.
I like, I like the sliders, but
Well,
Those are not,
sliders are not really
appropriate, though.
historic.
well, I get that point. But there's sliders in here now, that's why he went up there and said he wants sliders, but sure, I
I think
guess.
obviously we can have a request.
They're about the same price.
And I don't know that the upper sash being gridded feels right on this building. In fact, it does look like.
But that back one has grids, doesn't it?
It's not the back slider, but the back.
Where the air conditioners are?
No, but these are gonna have grids, I don't think the smaller chapter is.
Well,
We were saying the original
Oh, the original was still.
But I think they're responding to this picture for that one double home.
I called him and said, this is all we got, I'll give you a picture.
Okay.
And that's all right. And I didn't even ask
We will
him.
obviously do what you guys want us to. They just
Up to
need
you.
to replace the windows or that.
I mean, I like the sliders, but I get your point.
I
I
just
think
think they
that
look.
Barry, from a historic standpoint, it's our mission to review these plans and things to make sure that any replacements are appropriate to design criteria.
Right, right. I think, now that I think about it, I think sliders are more expensive than double hung.
You're talking my language here.
With double, I just think the sliders kind of go with the bottom windows though, too.
Yeah. You just end up-
You know what I mean?
Mhm.
Like if the uppers are double hung, but then the business windows look like big.
They're
And they are
white plate glass,
They're
which
plate
is
glass.
traditional for a retail operation.
Right.
And upstairs is residential, and as evidenced by what you have in your basement and on the back side, the original windows most likely were two double hungs with full buttons.
Yeah.
if you look at you,
Yeah, but the ones who feel this one there needs to probably be like
so
Right.
there's,
Maybe they were all replaced.
Oh, I
that.
see.
So
There's
just
some
have,
so they're double hung.
yeah, so
something
it
that-
was
this is
like,
triple.
this is probably like that, as well as the
Yeah,
So basically, that's what it would look like,
This is
but
just
with newer windows.
I think the grids would add to it.
And if you look down even if you go with the lines on here.
I think too,
I don't think.
like if you have retail on the bottom, it doesn't have to be the same
Right, that's, these are plate glass issues, that's
Oh,
windows.
I think that's another, okay, all right, gotcha.
And then it may be more expensive, but, you know, since you're redoing the facade, you might as well get a grant from the city as well to help that.
And I was gonna ask, can that road grant only be applied for this time of each year?
We've actually, that's something you'll have to talk to our, actually another person in our office, I can get you to her. You met Shanda.
Yes.
She, I don't know that we have a consistency, it's not been offered for a terribly long time, we've been making tweaks and modifications, so that'd be a better question to see where we're at on that. I'm not sure of the status. I don't deal with it directly, I just, you know, organize it when it comes before this board, it's not my problem.
So, we have not ordered these, we got a quote. Obviously, we want to make sure that everything was good. Are we, do you want to do like the double hugs, or either way is good?
No,
I think the double hulls are really.
Double hulls? All right.
You'll like them.
And it'll make the building look better too.
Okay.
I think the tenants will too. 'cause they-
Obviously, it got stuck, it was brick at one time, so.
Yeah.
Which is too bad.
So do we want grids or no grids?
Most of the others did not have grids.
I don't think the grids fit the building.
So they were just double hung with, you know, two panes of glass. They're,
Okay.
So there you save another like $25 per window.
Thank you, architects.
But they'll charge us for the 2x4 and the wrap.
Yeah.
Hey, it adds up.
Okay.
Quickly.
Any more questions or comments from the board? Are you okay if we open it up to the public?
Can I ask one more time? Right now, the current lights are kind of, you can see they're low. It's kind of weird. Do we have to get approval? We just obviously move them up to a more ideal.
Well,
They
they
are
have
gonna be
to
bumping into your
serve
canopy
distance.
a little bit.
Is
Going
that,
up too high.
Or maybe out.
I wonder if you could put them over
Jeffrey,
here
is
to
the
the
canopy
side.
sitting?
Who's got? Do we have that picture?
Inside
of
the-
the-
That's gonna work
Their
out.
canopy was-
I know, just like, that you can't put them where the, see it? Hold up.
So, inside the recess, all the way. Are the bourbon, or the barrels gonna be
We don't
removed?
have that picture.
I
Yes,
think we approved those.
That-
yes, they were there.
Where are those
Yeah, I
going?
think they probably approved.
On either side of the door?
Yeah, because somewhere, I don't know, you think, they might give me ideas. See, right now, those are the black.
Right.
Well, if you look at, here's that picture of the rendering of the front with the awning. I don't know if we have that.
That's in there.
Yeah, we have the awning, but we don't
I don't know
have.
that we had
I would
that.
love them to be like, I mean, the awning's gonna go inside the conduit there. I would love them to be like,
That was it to go to the top of the door.
yeah. But like you said, that's gonna be stucco work and.
Yeah, I mean, I would, if your awning is gonna be within this recess here,
Yes.
I think it would feel appropriate to pull
Yeah.
the light right or left in that
Yeah.
flat section and, you know, align it with the top of the windows or the bottom of the awning, like at least
Okay.
one piece of it, so that it's consistent across every, yeah, then you got a little patchwork you gotta do, so.
You can do most of that from inside. Move your wiring and patch it and then just repair the stucco where these lights are now.
Okay.
So do we have to submit to you exactly the location of those, where those lights are gonna be?
No, we're just gonna, we don't need the
That can be
height.
part of
Yeah.
what you all approved.
Yeah.
That's it.
Okay. More questions or comments from the board?
So do you have any plans for lighting to go over the retail space?
Not at this time. My thought for the future, like a couple years down the road, is to actually very much update the facade, is like maybe pilasters and, you know, a little more ornate, because it's so plain. But I don't know, is that the historicness of this building to be plain?
That's stucco. That was brick before
No
that.
idea.
I don't know if anybody remembers it before the stucco. I don't know who decided to stucco it.
Do
I
most
don't know why
people
people would do
Stucco,
that.
stucco.
don't do that?
I don't know why they would
Why
put
they would
stucco
do
on.
it.
Oh.
Stucco.
There was a stage where everyone stucco on.
But obviously, you know what I mean, like the like the faux column,
Right.
a little more
Look at the
detail around
posts.
the window.
Yeah.
That was a
windows,
brick
yes.
building.
That was a brick
Are
building.
these
Now
lights
you
on
gotta
either
work
side
with
of
it,
this?
or
Well,
gotta
this
spend
is
how much
security
money to
cameras.
take it
We
off.
want to put our,
Yeah, which,
That's a big
that's not
building.
once we have Wi-Fi going there, that she's now got Wi-Fi,
Yeah,
she said we can tap
hold on.
into the Wi-Fi.
We got like
Get these
3
cameras.
conversations going on
That's what
here.
those are, they're just like little.
Would like to ask you a question.
the awning, if we put that awning on there, then can we put our 1029 or,
Yeah, I mean, I think that's certainly up for discussion here and what
With
you
the
want
size
to do.
and typeface.
okay.
Bring it in.
We're thinking about Airbnbs, maybe
I
One
mean,
or
that's a
two.
totally different issue.
Yeah, I mean, there's been some approval for Airbnb and.
Yeah, we talked
stuff
about
we've
it.
been talking about.
I had a meeting with them. And maybe naming it, like Midway Lofts or something, I don't know. I just wanted, we try to get that approved.
You'd have to just come
You have to come back
in
with it.
All right,
Yep.
what about the address? Would that be, okay, just put the address on it then if we don't want to?
I think if it's a black awning, you just use like white letters and it's just the numbers for the building, that's probably fine.
Okay,
They're a few inches tall.
okay.
Okay. Anybody from the public like to comment on what's proposed for this building?
One is more of a comment. You asked about the program.
Yes,
At last month's city council meeting, Matt Kramer, who's our new city administrator, wrote out a clearly defined ordinance that states what is or is not allowable for grow grants. So you will be working with a really nice document to say, yes, this fits, no, that doesn't fit. It was a little bit vague, and he like tightened down a lot of the restrictions. So to your benefit, that'll be,
is that on the website now?
I don't know.
No.
Probably not yet.
It needs to go to a second reading in this next council.
Okay.
So,
Which will just be in a few minutes, but again, it'll be to your advantage just to know yes or no on the different things. Go ahead, did you have a question for me?
Well, there's a lot of things we obviously do with the grow grant with this building, but more electric, another whole panel with maybe just for the offices would be nice. I mean, it's doing okay now, but
Yeah, I think the grow grants are pretty much for the facades.
just for some.
We have
No,
actually
they-
expanded
they-
the
they
program
modified
to,
that.
so we, at one time, we had the, recently did the interior update grant as well, which was the exterior ones. And moving forward, we wanted to combine the two programs since there was such a necessary need for both of them. So if you contact our department about that, we'll be able to walk you through all that stuff.
Okay.
We hope to put like central air in the business units, but we would need a separate
The whole
electric.
200,
Yeah.
another 200 amps coming in.
Oh, yeah.
And then my other question was actually a question. When you were talking about the paints and the paint colors, I wasn't clear because I know there's been discussion in the past about painting a building in a historical district. How my understanding was that it's not permitted, and then I've been told, no, it is strongly discouraged, which to me means it's permitted.
It's not brick.
It's not
If
brick.
it's been painted, it's
And
okay.
that's what I was asking.
Yeah.
Is it brick and has it been painted?
No, this building is stucco
This
on
brick,
the
yeah,
outside.
this building is stucco.
Okay, I haven't seen it.
So,
It's
you
been
know,
painted.
That
once.
answers the question.
yeah.
Thank you.
Okay, if there's no other comments from the public, we'll entertain a motion. I'd be happy to make one if you guys want me to.
Yeah, you go ahead.
Okay, so I'd like to make a motion to approve the replacement of the 3 front second floor windows. Windows to be double hung, the left and right ones with the center mall. Windows will be black on the exterior. Approve a black fabric awning in the recess of the center door with a small white numbers for the property address, and to allow for the installation of 2 black gooseneck-like fixtures to the right and left of the main entry door,
Raising the height.
to be installed approximately in line with the window heads.
With the windows on the first floor be painted
Yep.
black to match the new windows,
Correct, thank you. And that the first floor windows would be painted black.
and that the barrels would be removed.
Oh,
They
And,
said they were going.
and please remove the whiskey barrels.
you don't like that? Anybody want
Not
on?
necessarily.
I'll take them.
The last owner, the last
You wanna
person
save
rented
one,
them
that's
just
right
left
up
them
the
there.
I'll take them.
You can have.
Go get them.
Thank you.
Roll
All
them
right.
down, Barb.
They're filled with concrete.
Yeah. We can roll them up
They're
there.
750 pounds each.
I'll turn it on the side.
Barb's one of your neighbors in the Midway District, actually. So,
I've had coffee once or
Roll
twice.
out the barrel.
yeah.
Yes, I've seen your lines.
I
Thank you.
introduced myself. We-
Yeah, you did. I didn't realize you were.
Okay, so we have a motion, is there a second?
I'll second.
I'll second.
All right, all in favor? Any opposed? All right, motion carries, thank you all.
Yeah, thank you.
Any other items for this board that people need to discuss? If not, I'll take a motion to adjourn.
Motion to adjourn.
All right, we'll adjourn at 6:58 PM. Thank you, everyone.
Thank you.